Would Mr. Coulombe help to clear up my understanding of G K Chesterton's views on democracy and monarchism as political systems? In various writings, Chesterton is both critical and complimentary of both, if only indirectly. One Chesterton quote comes to mind. "I am for democracy, a democracy of the living and the dead." Also in various writings he is extremely critical of the English aristocracy, which I suppose I've always taken to include his being critical of the English monarchy in general.
Oh, that's a good question. Next. Oh, no. Well, GK's views of these things were kind of complex, not unlike GK himself. His innate sympathies were with the poor, the little man, and so on. But by the same token, he was aware enough to know that that's not from whence society generally runs.
Mm-hmm.
His critiques of the monarchy and the aristocracy were bound up with the English case. In general, he was in favor of both. But he was also, I mean, in general, just in terms of not just England, but in general, he was in terms of monarchy per se, and aristocracy per se. But he wanted a monarch who ruled and was virtuous, and an aristocracy who believed in noblesse oblige. To the degree that the British system was not like that, he had problems with it. Remember, too, that the British aristocracy of today is primarily a recent foundation. The biggest part of the English noble families were chewed up in the Wars of the Roses.
What time was that?
1400s. There were not that many of them left, and then Henry VIII came along, dissolved the monasteries, which of course GK came to dislike intensely, which having done strangely enough. And then he created out of some of these new men, new noblemen. And then, of course, in the 18th and 19th centuries, when the making of peerages was basically done not by the king, but by the prime minister, as an honor, like so many other things, the numbers expanded. And that kind of lord was a wealthy industrialist or a political pusher or whatnot. It was very different from the fox-hunting descendant of knights.
So G K Chesterton liked the fox-hunting descendant of knights, not the new aristocracy?
No.
Oh, okay.
So that was a big part of it. He saw England as being run by an oligarchy, which of course it was, as any democratic system is. But in terms of monarchy per se, he was very much in favor of it. He said monarchy is a personal form of government. The republic is an impersonal form. When he spoke of the democracy of the living and the dead, which is, I'm glad you caught on to that, what he said was that what he meant was that the living have only a small part in the nature of society. Something like Mr. Justice Anthony Kennedy bringing in gay marriage, he would have considered the tyranny of the living over the dead. In other words, the institutions that our fathers brought us, and that includes the monarchy in Britain, their maintenance and their retention is part of the democracy of the living and the dead. If something has worked for generations, our generation, us little weaseling twerkers,
Okay.
Weaseling twerkers.
Weaseling twerkers, there we go.
All right, mewling, puling, weaseling twerkers. Is that better?
Okay, sure.
All right, our generation do not have the right, out of our wisdom as mewling, puling, weaseling twerkers, we don't have the right to suddenly turn everything off on its head. That's what that refers to.
Okay.
So, and he certainly, his friend Belloc in a book called Monarchy in the House of Commons, available online, predicted that one day the monarchy would return as a real monarchy, as opposed to the oligarchy that run the show now. See, in Britain today, the monarchy has the same relationship to real life that the Constitution does here. if you see what I mean.
People, the government sort of refers to it, gives lip service to it.
Yeah, and it's there. You're always aware of it. You're hearing about it all the time.
Uh-huh.
But its practical effect on what the morons in charge do is very minimal.
Yeah.
The MICs for short term, morons in charge,
Okay.
of ruling over their muling, puling, weaseling, twerking subjects. What?
Nothing.
There's nothing wrong with a setup like that. You are very critical. What is wrong with boobs being run by mental midgets?
I'm very critical. You won't even let me have certain facial expressions. And I'm the critical one.
Well, you're cruel. You're very upsetting.
It's perfect characterization of the modern man, Charles.
Yeah, it's very upsetting. Did you know today that this is National Tie Month?
Tie month?
Yes, tie.
Who's in charge of these days? These days are getting ridiculous.
I don't know. It's also Spiritual Literacy Month.
I don't believe you.
Oh, you want to make a wager on that?
I don't believe you.
Want to make a wager on it?
That's not even a word. Spiritual literacy?
Spiritual literacy.
We're going to look that up. I don't believe you. We'll see.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to make a cash bet on this one.
Who? Okay, so Joe Smo can't say it. It's got to be someone of authority.
Shows that you know. It's in Wikipedia. You know it's true.
Wow, Wikipedia is the new authority on all things.
On all things, the source of all truth, infallible guide. Because it represents the will of the entirety of the people.